Hi there, my name is Joseph Omeyer, and this is my final presentation for interpersonal communications class. And the topic that I decided to do was interpersonal communication in regards to forming a workplace union. And basically, I mean by that is how does interpersonal communication factor in to how well you can form a workplace union and what sort of strategies you can employ in effectively communicating with coworkers to hopefully then form a workplace union. And I'll start on my interest in this topic. And it comes from a personal place, unfortunately because a couple of years ago, not my first job, but pretty darn close to it, I was working down in Missoula at the college pool down there just as a lifeguard. And we had really bad troubles with management and employee pay, mostly the latter. You started off around $9.25, I believe, just as a base lifeguard. And as you get trained up in additional skills like doing management type stuff, as well as teaching classes and all of that, which I did load onto my schedule, you got paid a quarter more an hour. You got paid 25 cents more an hour, which is ridiculous. So just me, a little freshman, started talking with the other little freshmen, trying to come to some sort of arrangement where we would collectively bargain, see if we can get that pay increase up a little bit more, see if we can cover a little bit more of our expenditures while we were at college. Didn't work at all. We were all too young, too inexperienced, too focused in on our own world, school, personal lives, and all that. We didn't really care about that. So people started flaking away, including myself, if I'm getting completely honest. So that all washed away, made no progress on that. Take that same situation and move it on to my, I think, 2 more jobs after that at a kickboxing studio. Same gambit, the whole thing blew up. So I wanted to research onto how to effectively form a workplace union, and better yet, how to effectively communicate with your coworkers in that regard. Expanding that outwards from a personal experience to more of kind of a national-wide trend, people are becoming more and more interested in workplace unions since their precipitous decline since the 80s. On my slideshow, you can see a nice graph that I pulled from the Jacobin website from the Economic Policy Institute, showing a direct correlation between union membership and income going to the top 10% of the population. So perfectly, I would say correlated, but you could say commonality between the two. But with that, with the glaring disparity in our country, people are becoming more and more interested in joining a workplace union and what that entails and how to communicate that to other people. So historically, I want to look back at the most prominent union in our country today is the UAW, or the United Auto Workers Union. They started back in 1936 with a sit-down strike. I look back and see how they organized. So just a bunch of guys sitting at the General Motors factory. They all came together and they decided to sit down in their assembly factory. They weren't going to leave, they were going to picket or anything like that. They were going to physically occupy the space. They were going to sit down. There's a nice quote from Earl Hubbard, who was one of the founding members of the UAW. He said, "We made a ball out of it, made a party out of it," though they famously prohibited drinking during that, trying to garner public support. But it was just a bunch of guys. They collectively got together and they came up with this strategy to effectively communicate amongst themselves to organize this. And this expanded, became the most powerful auto workers union in America, and it's still one of the most powerful unions today. So I looked at their website contemporarily, and they list off 7 different ways to win your union, as they put it. They put it as a guide to forming a union, but you can also look at it as a really powerful resource on how to talk to your coworkers. So I want to walk through it really, really briefly. Step 1, they say build a team. Strong team that plans together and shares the work as the foundation for success. So it is just becoming common with your fellow workers, making sure you're talking to everybody on your working floor. And I'll get onto this later, as we're talking about effective ways of communicating with coworkers outside of just expressly trying to form a union. But you need to talk to people in your department and people who traverse departments. They use the example of mail carriers, I believe, but just people who are popular in their departments, who are well respected among their coworkers, and people who get around, really. And that's really their second step: recruit leaders, people who are on the team that are well respected, and they can gather other people to the cause. Step 3, map the networks. How many people can each person connect with? So if you just string a web, one person talks to 3 people, they talk to 3 other people. It sounds like a pyramid scheme, but it's just a way to reach out your tendrils into your workplace so you have a common connection with every single person there. Step 4 is organization. You can't just talk to people. You have to set up a structure, set up a pyramid, and set up an organizational chart, is the way they call it. A chart that designates where everybody works, who's signed a union card, who's expressed interest in joining the union, that sort of thing. But make sure you're organized and you're not just talking to people amorphously. Step 5 is be public. And that was one of the things I was really interested in, is how the interpersonal communication extends beyond your working walls. We saw back in the summer of 2024, maybe in 2023 as well, hot labor summer, as a lot of people called it, is that you don't have to just worry about talking with people within your workspace. If you're big enough, like the Hollywood writers' strike and the Starbucks strike, people are going to have opinions on it in the general public. And how you effectively communicate with them is also extremely important. Step 6 is probably the one that's most related to interpersonal communication. That is, win people over. Our goal is to win over our coworkers, not write them off. If someone doesn't want to join the union, don't be disrespectful. Instead, look at them as an equal and encourage them to stand up with their coworker, which is something I really believe. You don't want to be hegemonic about it. You want to respect people, but you also want to try to be persuasive with them. And that starts and kind of ends with respect for your fellow worker. And then step 7, and the final step, is seize opportunities. It is often said that management is the best organizer. It's important to be on the lookout for issues that can help unite people. So try to find commonality in people's grievances or anything like that in the workplace. So that's big overhead on how to form a union and baseline, how does it affect interpersonal communication. I also look forward, I found this great author, Eric Karpinski. He writes for Greater Good, which is a Berkeley publication. And he specifically wrote about like how to effectively communicate with your coworkers. He identified, again, 7 steps. He called them micro moments, or how to find make micro moments with your coworkers. So instead of doing big grand gestures or big overt orations to your coworkers, you just find little commonalities, little ways to get to know them better and how to formulate relationships with them better. So step 1 for him, he said that have to be intentional. It's not just going to happen. You have to be intentional with the way you talk to people. And his step 2, go into connection mode. So in your mind, you have to think, oh, I really want to get to know this person. I just don't want to have a route conversation with them. I want to convey my meaning to them. I want to have a little bit of a persuasive conversation with them, kind of see what they're going on about and what I'm going on about. Step 3 is convey your presence. Be a present listener, be an active listener to them. Step 4, again, sort of in that vein, ask more, tell less. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, should be listening twice as much as you're talking. Step 5, create opportunities for connections in your meetings. This feels to me more like a managerial step, but he promotes check-in questions where in your meetings to learn about your colleagues, he asks like kind of general questions like, oh, how was your weekend? What was your first job like? He also has his exercise, which I'm not sure I totally agree with, is ask your coworkers to bring in photographs of themselves out of office and then have somebody like popcorn bring up at some point just to learn more about them on their outies. Not sure I wholly agree with that, but I do agree with like getting to know people outside of work. Number 6, we sort of focus this on class. He said focus more on the positive. He cites Thomas Rath, which says in work, you should strive for an 80-20% balance between positive interactions and negative interactions or critiquing interactions. So 80% of the things should be building people up, focusing things on they do well, as opposed to not even being critical of them, but like, well, yeah, being like critiquing their work very much. So 80% should all be building people up and whatnot. Final one he states on really quick is make room for difficulties. So don't just try to force in that 80%. Make room and be available for difficult conversations, whether that is people being uncomfortable at work or outside of work in their personal lives. So that's basically what I got for you. Big overhead, how to form a professional union. Macro level, communicating with your fellow employees, and then micro level, what you can do as an employee to more effectively reach out to your coworkers. That's all I got for you. Fit has been Loinhammer, a local Kalispell metal band. Thank you very much.